Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cheerleaders, welcome to an episode of Tatami Talk. My name is Juan. This is my true partner, Anthony. This is a judo podcast for judo players by judo players. Now, if you can tell, my voice ain't all the way here because we had a UFC party last night at Anthony's house, and I lost it during the Max Holloway fight. So after that fight, my voice was like gone after that. So I'm drinking my tea right now. Drinking my tea. Try to get my voice to somewhat go. So let's see how this episode goes with that.
Yeah, and for me, right after my interview, our interview with James, like I got sick, so I was like, all right, I'm going to start this program. I have what I said 7 weeks to do it, and like then I got sick, right, and I couldn't breathe. I had to use an inhaler I have here. Couldn't really train, so now that 7 weeks has turned into 5 weeks. So including if I start like today, it'll be like 4.5 technically. So yeah, I'm like, should I wait until I do the program like for real before I review it, or should I just like do the nationals and then review that? I think I'm going to do that, and then I'll probably try it again afterwards. I'm going to go back to the accumulation phase that I talked about and the transformation phase and review it. But yeah, that's I don't think we've have good voices to talk about right now.
Both of our voices are pretty. I'm doing my Billy D. Hello, ladies. It's my Billy D. Williams voice. So.
I actually lost my voice after teaching class one day. Remember?
Yeah, I remember.
Towards the end, I just couldn't talk anymore. I was like this.
Well, here's my weird thing. I noticed when I was like, I think it was in high school, I started going to a lot of wrestling shows. I noticed I would lose my voice almost after every show. Like my voice, that's why I talk low. Some people be like, why do you mutter so much, talk so low? It's because I can't. If I talk too high or scream too much, I lose my voice very fast, very easily.
Yeah, so I talked about that in one of the podcast episodes. And one of the reasons I decided to start the podcast with you was I wanted to practice my talking skills to talk for an extended period of time. And I wasn't teaching that many classes at the time, but now that I've been teaching a lot of classes, I have to talk a lot. And also, we've been doing the podcast for a while. I feel like my speaking skills has improved, but I still feel like I need to take singing lessons to learn how to use my diaphragm better. So, definitely going to do that eventually, but, I don't know if any of the
judo and singing.
Yeah. I don't know if any of the longtime listeners notice whether like the way we talked has changed over time. I definitely think I did. I probably stuttered a little less, like, I think, because I think really fast, but yeah, I think definitely we've changed over time and adapted.
Hopefully for the good, I think. Hopefully. Yeah. So let's get straight into it. So I was hyped. I know you weren't as hyped, but I was super hyped for this. It was a turn of judo to the UFC. All right. So we were all hyped about UFC 300 because Kayla was coming to the UFC to fight at 135. And I'm not talking at 135 the show. I'm talking 135 the weight, which is crazy because she's fought in Invicta at 145, which everyone thought that's where she's going to fight Cyborg. Where she normally fought at PFL, she fought at 155. And whenever they announced like, oh, she's going to UFC, they thought, oh, cool, they're going to revamp the 145 division. Which easy belt, bring a big star in, easy championship belt, just do that. Like, oh, no. UFC's like, nah, we're not going to do that for you. We want you to fight at 135, which when you heard that, you're like, that's crazy. There's no way she's going to make weight, I
didn't say no way. I just thought even if she made weight, it's not going to be good for her. So.
Yeah. Which I don't think a lot of other MMA podcasts listen to, like they had some weight doctors in there, nutritionists saying that what she walks around at and what she's going to be fighting at is like really not good for her, especially for her age, since she's 36, I believe.
Holly Holmes is 30.
Holly Holmes is 42.
Oh, 42. Yeah. That's the other reason I wasn't a fan of this matchup, because the age difference, like
Hey, it's not like they pulled her out of retirement home or something like, oh no, you're retired. Can you please come back? No, she was still fighting. Okay.
No, but just in general, this is why I don't really watch UFC anymore. Like I've talked about in the past, other than the fact that I like ONE FC more, and I think the refs are bad in UFC. It's the fact that they've been cutting a lot of the weight divisions, you know, like, so the talent pool is getting smaller and smaller. It's the same few people, and it's turning kind of, well, now the WWE bought them, right? It's kind of turning into like a, I don't want to say rigged because that's not what it is, but it's kind of like or matchups because they're trying to push this person up to be like this like great fighter kind of thing.
Yeah, we talked about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they're basically reusing all these big name fighters who are way past their prime and should be retired. So now you have like all these old people fighting each other basically, but like even the main card, like I can't believe that guy was like 36. Like what happened to the people that are in their prime fighting? Like
they didn't do well enough. Like
you see,
they didn't win the matches. You have to win, at least in UFC, even though they will give some people some can crushers. I'm not going to say
they're not giving them chances is what I'm saying.
You have to win the fight, man. That's all I got to say.
Okay, so why don't they push up the young? Why don't they push someone up like Sean O'Malley? That's actually good.
Sean O'Malley's a champion right now. They did,
but I don't think he's that good.
Fight. That was a terrible example.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Why can't
to get to the title?
I don't think he's that good. Let me put that. So I don't think he's that good. And like you said, they give him cans to crush. That's why I'm like, why can't they actually find a good fighter? Like. I'm thinking like Nate Diaz, Conor McGregor in the day, and what's his name, Dominic Cruz. Like those kind of like that era. There's so many people that were good and all these different styles, and they're all like fighting each other for the spot, right? But because they're cutting all these weight divisions, it's just like okay, now you have this lightweight guy fighting a heavyweight guy, and you have like not lightweight to heavyweight, but you know what I mean, like a lighter guy fighting a heavier guy, this old guy fighting another old guy, but like. It just doesn't interest me anymore. So, you know, you have Kayla Harrison dropping freaking 40 pounds to fight a 40-year-old woman. Like,
I think it was all because, and I'm just going to say it played out there. The UFC, or at least the fans somewhat, in my opinion, because we watched the fight like 2 times already. They were booing Kayla. And for some reason in the UFC, judo are heels. I don't know why we are heels. But it seems like in the UFC,
well, we know why. We'll just
they portray us. They portray us as heels for some reason. We're the bad guys. So I think they wanted to work on that. The whole thing of like, well, Holly beat Ronda. This was judo's revenge. You know, we're the last best judo player in the women's division.
See, that's the WWE.
That's the storyline of it. Yeah,
that's the pro wrestler fan, and you buying into this thing.
That's not buying it. I see what they're. It's not that I see what they're doing. I am blind. I see what they're doing. Okay.
Like, other than the age thing, right? Like, I'm also disappointed by. I was rooting for Kayla, obviously, but I was disappointed by Holly's performance. Didn't have any takedown defense. Just not beating her at striking. Like, just most of the time was grappling. Like the fact that it's like she didn't prepare to fight a grappler.
Well, I kind of think, now this is just me again reading into it. Well, I beat an Olympic bronze medalist pretty easily last time. I stopped her takedowns. I did all this stuff. Maybe she thought that'd be easy as well to beat.
Well, I think Ronda let it get to her head. So
I think Ronda struck too much also. Like Kayla stuck to the plan. My striking is just to get into you, to grapple you and get you down to the ground. So let's just get to the fight. Okay, so the fight actually happened. So Kayla made weight. Okay, she made 136, which because it's non-title fight, you get 1 pound allowance. So she made 136, no problem. Like I said, if you watch her video blog and stuff, she was saying she was above schedule. Everything went fine for her. I hope she's doing okay. I hope she's doing well. I hope she didn't get sick or nothing. But you're
definitely trading your lifespan for
champions. Like that. So she made weight. So they start the match. Boxing, kickboxing, boxing. Kayla gets in. Throws her with Harai Goshi. Beautiful Harai Goshi, but she went too far over. I think she was trying to pound her to the mat too much. And this is where I think Holly thought like, oh, well, I beat judo before. I'm just going to roll with it. You know, go with the roll, continue to roll to get the top position. So Kayla throws her Harai Goshi. They continue to roll. Holly gets to kind of like better position. Kayla gets back up. Then I can't remember. So yeah, they're up against the fence because for some reason, Holly decided to stay on the fence with her.
That's what I'm saying.
Instead of disengaging and boxing with her, kickboxing with her, she decided, I'm going to do some clinch fighting with you in the cage. Now, Joe Rogan and Daniel Cormier were trying to say that, Holly was going for like trying to do a takedown. It's like, no. Kayla went for Ochigati. Now the camera angle wasn't great to see it, but yeah, Holly came in a little bit, maybe to put her weight on her, but Kayla hit her with the Ochigati, not huge Ochigati, small Ochigati to get her to the mat. And then from there, it was like almost like 3 minutes of just ground and pound. Tatashio to the back, Tatashio again to the back, just ground and pound. Went indulgent for a little while, more ground and pound. She stood up for a little bit, does some more ground and pound. Like after the Ochigati, Kayla was on top of her, just ground and pound her the entire match. So that was round 1. Then we get to round 2. Round 2 again, they start kickboxing. Kayla throws a good kick. Somehow they get into the clinch again. I can't remember how they engaged. Oh, yeah, that's what it was. They came into the clinch.
Was that the double leg?
Multigati. Yeah, she hit her with Kayla.
Sukuinagi, but yeah, go ahead.
It was Multigati. This is again 2 judo players arguing about this thing. The people listening are like, what are they saying? Why are they speaking Japanese? Yeah. So Kayla hits Holly with the Multigati double leg because she's up against the fence, takes her down. This time, Holly works back up to get to her feet. Then on her feet, Kayla has her kind of in a kata man, pretty much standing.
Yeah, it was like a headlock. Yeah.
Yeah. And then from there, hit her with the Osotogari from right there. Boom, took her down Osotogari. And then again, from right there,
the most beautiful part is as she took her down, her leg slid out and she ended up on mount.
Yeah. Straight to mount right there, straight Tatashio. Holly, for some reason, gave up her, like she's getting a little ground and pounded, gave up her back, more ground and pound with her belly on the mat on top of her. Didn't protect her neck at all. Didn't protect it at her hands were down.
That's why I'm saying the whole fight was just like, have you fought a grappler before? Did you prep for this?
Well, she does. I will say this. Holly does fight a lot of strikers because the UFC likes her a lot. You know, the whole meme of like Holly Holm won a fight. She better get a title shot, I guess. Well, Holly Holm won 2 fights.
Grapplers
get another title shot.
Grapplers get booed on the ground and strikers increases numbers, right?
Yeah.
You know, so, which is why I don't get why Americans watch UFC. Like, you should just watch Muay Thai.
Just watch Muay Thai, watch boxing, watch kickboxing. Hell, watch was that Karate Combat?
Boxing's too dirty. That's the problem.
So she gets her back, puts in a Harakajime. She taps immediately. She barely has it in cinched in there.
It was like
Harakajime, like,
and she tapped
right there. Tap, tap, tap. Match is done. Kayla wins her UFC debut at 135. I think she'll maybe have one more match or just wait out.
She called out. She called out. She wants a title shot next. Right.
I know with the UFC, and the UFC can always change their mind, but I believe the UFC already promised. Oh my God, what's her name? The one that beat Amanda Nunes, I believe, is getting the one.
Is she going to drop back down to 135 again for the title?
Yeah. The one that beat Amanda Nunes, that was at 145. That was a 135 weight.
This is why this is why it makes no sense. You know.
Yeah.
They wait until all the other, I don't want to say good people, but all the other big names to retire. And then you have all these old people. Plus they cut away a bunch of weight divisions. And then now
you keep saying they got rid of one. The women's got rid of one weight class. All the men classes are still there.
They were trying to get rid of another men's weight class.
They were trying to get rid of
women. But women's, there's not enough weight classes in the first place. Like, they don't have an atom weight.
Do we need an atom weight?
Yeah.
Nah.
Most girls are small. Like, I want to see small women fight. So, like, if you look at the feeder, all you have to do is go look at the feeder leagues and look at like what the distribution is. There's a lot of small women that fight, and then they don't go to UFC because there's no atom weight. I don't know. It's the old, Anyway, I thought it was a bad matchup. Everything leading up to it, I just did not enjoy it. I'm glad Kayla won. Just was not an entertaining fight to me. You know,
I thought it was entertaining. I was very entertained. I can't believe you were not entertained.
I feel like people get entertained by the violence and the story and stuff and the shit talking. I get entertained by the kind of techniques and I see. Like, if I look at a judo match, like, for example, people always look at the highlights. Even judo. There's
a beautiful haraigoshi, a beautiful morokagari, a beautiful osotogari.
That would be like me throwing a white belt and posting on Instagram.
We see that all the time. What are you talking about?
But
you sent me a video of that earlier today, actually.
but you get my point. Like, I want to see like a good technical matchup, but then I guess you have to be a more educated martial artist to be able to entertain that, you know. First, just like in judo, I like watching grip fighting and how people enter into the throws, and people get bored by looking at all the stuff that happens before the throws. They want to appreciate how much work it takes to get to the throw. That's what I was going to say. All the stuff before it, all the failed stuff, how tired they are, you know. So.
Well, that was another funny thing. It was Holly's corner was saying like, Kayla's tired now. She's tired. She worked her arms too much. She's tired. It's like, really? Her arms this Olympic athlete that had to fight like 6 matches in one day, usually for a tournament, who's been doing MMA now for how many years? Oh, she's tired because of one round with you grappling. Get the out of here. Come on.
She didn't even do anything. She was on top the whole time. It doesn't take that much.
Just laying in strikes. Laying in strikes. Her arms are tired. She's worked too much.
Her arms are tired. Being helped by gravity.
Yeah, I think even Joe said that. Like, her arms have to be gassed. We all know
Joe Rogan doesn't know jack shit. So
yeah, it's like Joe's like, oh, her arms have to be gassed. It's like, Joe, do you know she's been fighting the PFL, 2-time PFL champion? How many fights has she had? And have you ever done a judo tournament where you have to fight like 6 times in one day?
And I know Holly was trying to get back up, which is probably why she turtled, but knowing how good she is, I would not give up my back. I would just play on my back, defend the strikes, and then wait for a chance to get up or run the clock down. And then next round,
run the clock down is 3 minutes on your belly.
Yeah, but still, that's if I was her coach, that would be the game plan, right? If that happens, if you happen to get taken down, I would do that, and then try my luck with striking again next round, and also prep takedown defense, you know. But it seems like none of that happened. Like it's like she just woke up one day without training and decided to fight Kayla. That's what it looks like.
I do think that probably her coaches are in the back of her head thought that maybe in their minds or in their head they thought that Ronda was a better judo player or a better grappler, and we did so well against her. I know. We're talking about 2-time gold. We're talking 2-time gold Olympian. Okay, world champion here. Ronda was a bronze medalist, but for some reason people think that Ronda was like the best judo player of all time in her time. But I kind of think that maybe her corner thought that, or her team maybe thought, oh, you took care of Ronda. Kayla's not gonna be that much harder. She's going to be gassed out from losing all that weight. She's going to be really sucked down. She's not going to have energy. Don't worry. She's not going to be that hard. She's going to be harder than Ronda.
This is the thing with the problem with seeing things as a style versus style thing. You know, you just need to look at the individual. You know, and if you look at how Kayla fights at all in a few fights in the PFL, you can tell she's not the same as Ronda. I'll leave aside the argument whether she was a better MMA fighter than Ronda, right? But I personally think yes, but it's not about that. It's just when you prep for a fight, sometimes one person's style is just not good against another person's style of fighting. Like it doesn't. We see that in judo too. Like, this person beats everyone except for this one person who's like bottom ranked, you know. Like, it's like their kryptonite, and it's just against that one person that happens.
Well, so they say like boxing math or MMA math, what do you want to call the style you're fighting, math sometimes doesn't add up.
Yes,
that whole, like one of the best circles, and this is now like, I guess aging me and stuff, but it's like how Vanderlei could take care of Rampage no problem, but Rampage could take care of Chuck no problem, but Chuck took care of Vanderlei no problem. So you have like the top 3 guys right there that just in a circle just take care of each other. But it's like, well, if Rampage can beat Chuck, he should be able to beat Vanderlei, shouldn't he? But it doesn't work out that well.
This is the same thing you see in like what do you call it? Anime Dragon Ball universe. It's like, well, Goten can beat like Trunks, and Trunks can beat Frieza. Then this is like the power scale thing. I was just like, yeah,
above 9,000.
Anyway, but the rest of the card, I will say, I guess it was entertaining in terms of violence, but
come on, Max was great. Max took my breath away.
Max is. I enjoyed watching him just destroy Justin like before that, but everyone was shook. Everyone's talking about the last 2 seconds, like the knockout, right?
Yeah,
I'm just like, why did you do this in the last 10 seconds? Like,
because they were gunslinging. They went to the middle of the ring and said, let's gunsling right now.
If you're doing it for fun, sure, I can take it. But if you're actually trying to win, it makes no sense. Like, from a pure game theory point of view, like, it's a 5-round fight, right? You already know you lost the first 4 rounds. So you should probably do that in the beginning of the 5th round when you have the most gas tank left. If you know, like, hey, I got owned for 4 rounds, so I'm probably not going to win on the 5th round either. So I need to go for a knockout. I might as well do it while my gas tank is full. Why would you wait until the last 10 seconds when you're fucking tired and he just beat on you for another 2.5 minutes? Wait, how many minutes? 4-minute rounds? 5-minute rounds?
5-minute rounds, yes.
Yeah, like 4.5 minutes for the last 10 seconds, and he was closing his eyes and just swinging.
Well, I will say this:
to pray for a miracle to happen.
Gaethje wasn't the one that said, "Let's do it in the middle of the ring." No, it was Max. I was like, "All right, we had that clapper just hit 30 seconds. Let's go, middle of the ring. Let's go." It was Max that said that. It wasn't Gaethje. It wasn't like, "Hey, let's go."
I didn't know that happened, but you see, this is just one instance, right? But I'd seen it happen other times where people wait until the very last freaking second to do that, and sometimes you see them like. They're surprised that they lost. Like if they don't get the knockout, I think they were going for a decision. Like they're surprised that they lost. But in this case, I'm pretty sure both him and his coaches know he was losing. So I would have just done it earlier. But the fact that he did it at the end and got knocked out with 2 seconds left, which it means nothing, would have changed nothing. He either gets knocked out or he doesn't get knocked out, and then Max wins. You know, so
yeah. The rest of the fights are really good. What is it? Zhang, I never say her name right. Lee, she did really well. You know, controlled her opponent the entire time. And then the main event with Pereira, that was an amazing knockout.
Right? Oh, that was amazing. Right. Yeah,
yeah. But not at the end. But like at the end of the show. I mean,
I'm gonna start doing that in judo.
You're gonna start. Once you throw somebody, you're gonna get out like, look.
I thought it was so badass how he was like, I'm okay, Herb Dean, step aside.
Yeah.
Bam.
No. Get out of here. No. Step out, son.
But I mean, that's why I'm like, if you think about it, what happened to the Max Holloway fight? It's not that impressive. Again, it was a mismatch. So
Max versus Gaethje?
I think it was a mismatch.
Really? A guy stepping up from 145 to 155.
Yeah. That's why it's a mismatch.
How is it? So you're saying
why did he keep doing these things? Is what I'm saying.
Well, one, just to sell tickets. That's what the BMF title is.
Exactly.
The BMF title is just to sell tickets for the show. It's 300. We need another title on there. Screw it. Gaethje got that BMF title. Let's put something else against
I guarantee you, everyone who, like, if I go on Reddit later and look at the MMA sub, most of the comments is going to talk about the knockout. I don't go on MMA sub anymore because people are retarded in there. But I guarantity most people are talking about the knockout. Handicapped. No one's going to talk about the freaking clinic that Max did. It's beautiful boxing, you know? So yeah. People, I guess, other boxers can appreciate it, but I think most people are just like, how are you cheering for a guy closing his eyes swinging? I don't understand. Like, where is the skill in that? You know, I mean, you can say there's guts, but I don't know. Like, I just don't think that's interesting to me, I guess.
Mm-hmm. All right. So that was our little take on UFC 300. Anything else you want to talk about the show or any other matches?
Yeah, I will say I don't regret paying for it. I did pay for the pay-per-view because I was hosting. Otherwise, usually I don't watch it. Yeah, because of like the poor judging, the mismatches, the people jumping around weight classes. Like that's why I don't really watch it. But I don't regret paying for it this time just because of how much fun everyone had. And then the Alex Pereira fight was cool. I pretty much only watched that fight and Kayla's fight. That was it. And then the last few minutes of the Justin Cage. Well, right, I did watch the whole thing. The Max Holloway. I think I watched most of it. Yeah. I was cooking, so I was just popping in and out watching. So
yes. You were making us some soup and some soba and some what else did you make?
No soba. It was stew. It was stew, and then miso soup,
yeah,
and then
soup and stew.
Drinks. The drinks was the one that takes the most time, honestly. So
you'll go to Anthony's house. He's a great host. He makes you drinks all night long.
Yep.
All right.
I need help clear out my liquor cabinet. So
how much beer do you have left over?
a lot.
Bring it to the dojo.
I might do that. Yeah.
All right. So that was a little take on UFC 300. I want to congratulate my partner in crime, my friend, my co-host, Anthony, on getting his second
Anthony,
degree.
not Matt, right?
Yes. Matt, screw Matt. Matt ain't going to get his second degree black belt. I had to force him to get his first degree black belt. All right.
I told him he can get it already, but I was just,
he has stuff he's supposed to do, but yes, technically he should have the points. Anthony getting his Nidan in judo. It's a very high accomplishment. He did it through USJA, which the way the USJA points is done, he had to have 200 and what, 280 points he had to get?
120.
120. He had to get 120 points going through their system. He had more than enough to do it after USA Judo said, nope, sorry, you're not a competitor. Get out of here.
Yeah. That's the major difference between the three I found out when I was doing research. It was, I only took the time because Philippe was like, I really want you to like get promoted. So I was like, okay, I'll do the work because I didn't want to, it was a pain in the ass filling the paperwork. After I filled it out for someone else, I was just like, damn, now I got to do it for myself. But this is before USJA announced the changes that we talked about last time. Yeah. So I'm not sure what it would be now in the future, but I followed the old system. And USJF basically lets you pick two tracks, like the competitive track and the non-competitive track, but you can't have a mix of both. Does that make sense? Like if you're a competitor, then you only get points from competing. You can't use points for teaching or whatever, right? If you are a teacher, like the non-competitive path, then you can't use the points from competing. It makes like absolutely no sense to me. Because as someone who competes just a little bit sometimes, once in a while, and teaches and all that kind of stuff, like you're telling me I have to like abandon one or the other, you know? So it's I guess to USJF, it's like not comprehensible to them that you might do both.
Nah, crazy talk, man. Speaking crazy there.
You teach, you can't compete, you know? Like, but basically you're punishing teachers for competing and punishing competitors for teaching. Like it's just really funny. But USA Judo only has competitive track. So if you don't compete, you gotta sit there for the whole time in grade. And USJA was the only one that had a mixture of both. So that's why I went to that route. And I mean, in other episodes, we talked about how many hours I spend at the dojo. So, which might be more coming soon because we might add Sunday classes, I think. We were talking about it, but it's not a sure thing yet. But yeah, so that's the reason I went through USJA. Yeah, plus I like the new president.
So congratulations on getting it. How do you feel? Do you feel like you deserve this? You feel like you're there? Are you having any of those, what's the word we used last time for it? Imposter syndromes for your Nidan?
I got a few messages. So I actually got it April 1st. So that was when it was awarded to me. And that was when I got it from the USJA. But Philippe's been wanting to have a ceremony at the dojo. And I had to wait for the official certificate to come, which came last week. And then he wanted to wait for a big class. And at first he wanted to do it in front of my students in beginner's class. And I'm like, no, like I don't feel comfortable. I feel like I'm bragging to them, you know? So I don't want to do that. And I also wanted if I had to do a ceremony, I didn't feel like I had to, but I know Philippe would insist, but if I had to do it, I kind of wanted it to be in front of my training partners and peers, like the people who helped me get there. I guess the students did kind of help me in a way because they were my guinea pigs, right, for teaching, for testing the ecological.
Don't call them methods. That, not in public, please.
But yeah, they were right, and even after I got awarded the thing, it was not yesterday, it was Saturday, so it was 2 days ago. Even after I got awarded it was yesterday.
Yes,
it was yesterday. Yeah, even though I got awarded it yesterday, after Philippe awarded to me, I told them like, hey, just so you know, like you notice I might teach unconventionally. Like if you visit other dojos, like no way teachers like this, and just so you know, like this drill we just did that you all found a lot of success in, it took me like 6 months of experimenting and develop it. So I don't want you to make the same mistakes I made through when I was training. So I explained all that. So they did help me get there. But there was one night where the advanced class was kind of small, but all the people I cared about were there. Like Eric was there, the two Erics were there, you were there, Philippe was there, Ramiro was there, Hernan was, like, most of the people that were my main training partners that helped me train was there. So I would have been happy with that too, you know? So, but regarding, do I feel like Nidan imposter syndrome? You know how I feel about ranks. I don't really care about it, but I know it helps the dojo. Just like how Philippe is able to recommend promotions and stuff. And then I want to be able to do that in the future too. And I would have to invest that time now, even though I don't care about ranks. Like, a lot of people say they don't care about ranks and just stay in Shodan or whatever belt they are, and then they intend to teach or want to help out at the dojo. I think they're just kind of short-sighted. I don't want to say they're selfish, like they're just thinking about themselves kind of thing, you know, like, oh, I don't care. I don't want to pay. I don't want to do the paper. It's fine. But if you want to help, then you should like put in the time to do that. And it does help your dojo.
Yes.
Especially the Shodan rank. Like, a lot of people aren't familiar with some of the, every organization is a little different, but specifically I'm talking about the Yudanshikai. And some of the bylaws or something. Sometimes they would be like, oh, if you have X amount, this dojo, if they have X amount of members, they get this amount of votes. If you have X amount of black belts, you get this amount of votes, kind of thing. So there's all these things that might change in the future that you're not sure about, that would affect your club or you or your friends and stuff that you don't know about. So if you can afford the money and time to apply for a promotion, and you have the skill set, like you're there already and your sensei thinks you're there, I think you should do it. Right. I mean, it doesn't, for me, it just took $200 and like 4 hours of my life. So that's like, it was a lot of pain in the ass to fill in the USJA paperwork. So
it's always funny when it comes to the money thing, because of how much the Dawn ranks cost each time. Like, I think my next one's cost like
300 probably.
Yeah, no, it is 300. It's definitely 300. But it's funny because we had one of our people, I think it was right before Christmas, someone got promoted to black belt, and it's so one of our members got promoted to black belt, and we told him, like, well, you have to register. You have to, like, if you want a real black belt, you think it's not just Fleet gives you a black belt and then you're a black belt. Like, we don't do that. Like, you have to get your black belt registered through USA Judo or USJF or USJA, whichever one you get it through. And even though he passed his tests that Fleet gave him, he kept on complaining about, like, oh, well, it just costs so much to get your black. It just costs so much. And then he complained one time to me and Eric, instructor Eric. He was complaining to us about it. And me and Eric were like, yeah, we all paid for it. Yes, that's nothing new. That's not special.
I think about, like,
oh, I can't believe you paid for that.
I still think we have at least 3 people that are unofficially promoted, but never handed in their paperwork after they filled out the paperwork. Once they saw the price tag, like when the bill came, they're like, yeah, I'm not paying for that. So we still have a few people that were supposed to get promoted that are still officially at their old rank because they didn't pay.
And that's one of those things where it hurts you like we're talking about, it hurts you in the long run, because later in life you'd be like, oh, you've been a black, like, say they're Shodan, okay?
Yeah.
Like, you've been a Shodan for like,
continue. Sorry.
It's like, you've been a Shodan for like 5 years or something. You've been a steady competitor, but you have no push to want to get a higher rank. And Philippe might go, hey, yeah, we want to get you your Nidan. It's like, oh, well, I never registered my Shodan, so technically I'm still a brown. Like literally, technically you're still a brown belt. So you still need to register. Like we had that with one of our guys that left, you know, that had a black belt for like 6-9 months before he was like, oh, I need to register this.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is obviously a example that I'm going to give that's a hyperbole, but imagine, like, after the LA Olympics, they're like, oh wow, judo is fucking awesome. Let's like fund judo and everything. And it's like, okay, for every 3rd degree black belt you have in your dojo, we're going to give you $500 in funding, you know, but it has to be approved by the judo organization. So we can't, like, it has to go through promotion board. You can't just flip the leaps like, okay, you're a black belt, you're a black belt, you're a black. It can't be like that, right? Someone has to prove, but let's say you are there, but then you didn't do your Nidan paperwork. So now you're a Shodan trying to get to Sandan, but now you got to wait both Nidan and the Sandan time to grade. But things like that can happen where you realize one day you need the Sandan or the fourth Dan or the fifth Dan, whatever. And you're like, you can't just skip. Well, some people do. Some people did, but that's like nepotism through nepotism we've seen.
Yeah.
And it's not supposed to happen. You can't just say, well, I didn't do my paperwork for the last 10 years. Can I just skip ranks? Like you're not supposed to do that. So
I knew a guy that did that at another dojo, and I don't want to say which federation approved it or whatnot, but they're like, okay, we'll approve it.
Everyone knows. We're just not going to talk about it.
You'll approve it, but you have to pay for each Dawn rank that you haven't paid for before. So you have to pay for like 3 Dawn ranks up front altogether. So that will happen. If you're complaining about like $100 now just for Shodan, just wait till the prices go up and you're paying like $600 to get everything done.
Yeah, but that's why I think it's just think about it as buying insurance. Like you don't know, or life insurance for your kids. You don't know what's going to happen to you that might change. So you're just buying insurance for in the future. If you do decide to teach when you retire, or you just decide to do whatever and help your dojo out, like let's say there's only one guy in the dojo that's approved to promote belts, and then he gets in a car accident and is like brain dead or something, then like you're the next guy now, So,
and with that, we're going to talk a little interesting situation now. Anthony, we do all this stuff. Like I'm very up to date on my paperwork because I like we talk about like if something happens, I need to make sure we can go through. Anthony just got his promotion because he goes through his paperwork. What happens sometimes is people have to become what we call the lifelong brown belts. And there's a lot of reasons.
Brown belt, yeah.
What?
That's the term I use, is terminal brown belt.
Yeah, he is terminal brown belts. I do like lifelong brown belts. There's some people that just won't because of situations. Some it's not their own fault. Some that is their own fault, that are going to be brown belts their entire life. Not everyone gets a black belt. There's something that Brian Hershkowitz said when Philippe got his 6th Dan.
Yeah.
He said a thing that I think I heard a long time ago, but he brought up again. I was like, oh man, that's such a great saying. When someone comes up to you and they ask, how long does it take to get a black belt? And most people are like, oh, the average is like 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. When the truth is that not everyone gets a black belt. All right. That's the fact of the matter. So when you ask what's the average time, there is no average time. It's about who people that want to complete everything and do everything they need to get their black belt. And that's when it comes into get these, for Anthony, terminal brown belts. Now, there's lots of reasons. I know one of the biggest reasons that scare people off, and this is like, I'm going to just go straight to the dark side right here. All right. Is that in judo, we're an Olympic sport. I know I've talked about this before. We're an Olympic sport. All right. To get a black belt in judo, even to get Dan ranks in judo, you have to have a clean criminal record. You have to do a background check for every Dan rank you get. So if you can't have a clean background check or clean, like just a clean record, I'm sorry, but you are not getting a judo black belt. All right. And we see that. I've seen it before. I've seen other dojos. I'm not going to name people or who were where and stuff, but they couldn't get their judo black belt. So they quit judo and went to another grappling style instead. So
they don't say this, but I'm pretty sure they leave a gray area on purpose, right? But I'm pretty sure it depends on the offense. Like if you like stole something as a kid or something, or like petty theft or something, it might like be okay with it. But I think they're mainly looking for like sex offenders. That's the main thing. That's the main thing. And people who committed felonies. I think that's the main thing that they're looking out for.
Yeah. So. And that's one thing where judo, like, yeah, they still get through. You hear about shit that happens sometimes. But at least judo, we try to protect our members, male, female, children, with this, where to get a black belt, to even be a coach in judo, you have to pass this. The other thing that some people just can't get their head around doing because it's too much time, or I've seen some people that are too stupid, they can't pass it, is that we have heads up and safe sport. Heads up is our concussion protocol. All right. That's for all Olympic sports. All right. That's what it, how to not get concussions, what to do if someone gets a concussion, basic medical things to do. Okay. Safe sport is against sexual assault, bullying, how to treat kids, how to treat adults, just how to be basically almost like a good person, pretty much. And this is all stuff that most jobs nowadays have you take these kind of courses, sexual harassment courses and stuff already. So you get some people that don't want to do that or don't want to take the time to do it or don't like, oh, this is bullshit. Why I have to waste time doing this?
It is. I think it is bullshit, but yeah.
But he still does it. He still does it though.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, because you see people ignore all of this stuff, basically.
Yeah.
So
you do.
It's mostly.
I see it in tournaments.
Oh yeah. The concussion protocols, people ignore it all the time.
Yeah.
The safe sport thing, like obviously people ignore it. It's just taking those as a way for the organization to protect themselves and saying like, hey, we did our part. Mm-hmm. They violated it. It's it's on them. They can't say I didn't know kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because they basically took a course. That's basically it. But everyone ignores it. I personally don't. Like I do the concussion protocol thing very closely, like for myself and for my students, you know. I pulled out a few kids a few times for concussions, and I got concussion recently from getting kneed in the face.
And I kept them practicing. I was like, no, are you bleeding? No. It's an owie or there's an injury. He said it's an owie. I was like, get back on the mat, Anthony.
Yeah. So there was that, and the safe sport thing. The good thing is that it keeps a database of people that are banned. But this is why I don't like about it is it doesn't keep database of people that were suspended. So I get it. Like there are people that are on that list that are temporarily suspended until they investigate and then you get removed, then that's fine. But there are people that are like basically guilty and they are penalized for like, they can't coach for a year or something like that. You know, then they remove them after the year. So I can't see like, okay, Juan was penalized.
Hey, what are you using me for? Children. Hey, why are you dragging me into this now?
You know, like I think you should be able to, you should be able to see like someone has been banned before, suspended before.
How many times?
And if they were innocent, then you should be able to see they were cleared and then, or like just not, or just get removed. But if they were suspended, like they were guilty and then they were suspended to teach for teaching from 2 years or something like that, then it should stay there. You shouldn't just keep permanent record of people that are permanently banned and currently suspended. That makes no sense. Yeah. Also, I think there's a way to track it. I can write a little script. I'll scrape the data from the website and just keep our own record. And I think I'm gonna get a lot of death threats for that. So I'm probably not gonna do that. I might do it internally for fun and just do it for myself.
For fun, like, this guy.
Programming exercise, a little project. But,
why not? You can sell it back to USA Judo when they want the information.
I'm sure they have the information. They just don't. Yeah, it's for probably the same reason they don't want to.
Yeah. So that's going straight to the dark side of like the dark reasons why some people are like long-term brown belts or terminal brown belts, you might say, and stuff. Now let's get some more like stupid or dumb reasons why people don't want to get their brown belts. So, do you want to go through kata or do you want to go through points? Which one do you want to go through first?
Go through the what? The kata?
Which one do you want to do? What do you want to talk about?
I don't think we have to go through every single things in detail. Like everyone knows people hate kata.
Okay, so going through kata.
Yeah.
Yeah. So most of the federations, I know like USJF, it's mandatory. You must do the kata and stuff, Nagi no kata. All right. And for Nagi no kata, they either want you to like perform it in public, get it from your, do it from your instructor, or get a certification, you know? And kata's tough, you know? Kata is different. If you're just all like tournament, fight, stopping, breathing the roses, you know, smelling everything in, taking it in, learn how to do the throws correctly in these very fancy ways that you're never going to do it in real life. Kata is, I'm not going to say the word, but kata is very hard and BS. I'm just saying, okay.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. I've seen people have just such a hard time learning kata. And it's like, okay, well, if you can just barely walk through it, we'll pass you. But with the way things are, if you have to do your Nidan, guess what? You're going to perform it again because you didn't get a certification. You didn't get a certificate. That's what happens. So that's one reason why some people they can't get through the kata. And that goes into what the next thing is that, like we talked with USJA, USJF, USA Judo, they have points. And for everything you do, you get points that add up. Like we said, USA Judo has a lot about like competition points, and how competition points work is like, if I beat somebody that's the same Dan rank as me or the same like Q rank as me, I get 1 point. If I beat someone's a higher Q rank than me or higher Dan rank than me, I get extra points. If I fight someone's lower rank than me, I get less points, which makes it harder as you get higher up in your rankings. So you get these competition points, you add them up, and if they all add up to a certain amount of time within a certain amount of years, you get promoted that way. And then you get the part-timers that don't want to do that. They're like, I do judo casually, which is great. That is fine. I love casual judo players. But to get promoted, it's going to take them longer, where you get the time and grade, where it goes about how long you go to class, what you do at class. Do you help teach? Do you help promote people? Do you do things for the dojo at tournaments or anything? And if you don't, you get less points or more points. And there are little things where if you're, as I'm put out there, if you're a selfish person that's just there for yourself and you don't want to help out at all, you're not going to get these points in which that you need to get promoted. And that's another way people get stuck as these lifelong brown belts.
I want to touch on the kata thing. I find it really interesting that people would say kata is useless, but then and refuse to do it. But then some people would think it's okay. Like, for example, in BJJ, they do the belt gauntlet thing. Like, in order to get your belt, you have to go through the gauntlet kind of thing. Yeah. Not all of them require it, right? Some clubs don't require it, but like there are clubs that require you to do it. So how is that any more useless than kata? I don't understand. Like, at least you can argue both are tradition. Like,
well, isn't the belt gauntlet, I believe, isn't that taken from Kempo?
I don't know, but it's stupid. But nobody ever says like, I'm not gonna do it because it's useless. Like, I'd rather stay a white belt instead of getting whipped by belts, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I always thought that was funny when I saw BJJ doing that, because the first place I saw that back when I was like a teenager was at a Kempo, I think it was a Kaji Kempo or just regular Kempo, whatever. I was at a Kempo tournament, and then that's what they did to promote when they're black belts. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I started just seeing more and more BJJ places do it. So yeah, it's interesting. Like, it is a weird thing. Like, can you imagine? Like, we always joke about our dojo. Like, oh, it's the birthday. Let me get thrown by everybody. We never do it, except for Matt. Matt always tries to throw people on their birthdays.
Yeah. But I just think people, they don't want to say it's hard, right? They just want to say it's useless. That way they can brush it off and it's not their fault, like, because you can say both are dumb, but why would people do the belt thing but not the kata? Probably because one of them's easier, right? The
belt thing makes you feel like a man. That's why you feel like a woman.
But the kata thing,
like a fighter.
Nobody will ever say like, "Oh, I don't want to learn it because it takes a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of commitment. It's hard." Like, no one's going to say that. They're just going to say it's useless. You've never heard of someone say, "I don't want to do it because it's hard." They always say, "I don't want to do it because it's useless," which is yeah. It kind of goes to show the mentality and how it kind of acts as like a filter, like a impromptu filter to filter out the kind of people who don't want to be black belts, I guess. So. In a sense. So
at least in judo, we have some good filters to try to protect our people, where other filters, it's just the whole thing where when you're a brown belt and your coach tells you, "Hey, I want you to start getting your black belt." If you even get the chance, if your coach tells you, "Hey," or your sensei tells you, "Hey, it's time for you to start working your kata," or it's like, "Hey, how many points do you have for competition? How long have you been here for now?" We start asking us stuff. Like, they want you to get your brown belt. They want you to get your black belt. Where there's some people that they never get asked, like, "Hey, what do you want to do?" Because there's some people that, when you're out the other, guys you like having around the dojo or girls you love having around the dojo because they're great people, but they never learn judo past brown, Yeah. When you get your brown belt, it's supposed to be like polishing up your stuff, becoming a better player, becoming really good at what you know. And you're not like citrus color anymore. You're not learning stuff. You still are, but it's about like polishing, becoming a better player.
Kiwi's a citrus.
What?
Kiwi is a citrus. It's kind of brown. Outside's kind of. I'm just kidding. Like,
kiwi. I don't know. I was considered kiwi more like green.
Is kiwi
Well,
a citrus fruit? Oh, it's not citrus. Okay, never mind. I take it back.
it was like someone tried to argue with me the other day, like, hey, I'm a blue belt now. I'm not a citrus no more. It's like, have you ever heard of a blueberry? No.
But back to what you were saying, like we do have people in our dojo who haven't done kata, but they like won everything. Like they won nationals, they won like golden winter nationals, senior nationals. They won Golden State Open. Like they just win everything, and that's like usually you don't see people. Most of the time, people that complain about the kata aren't winning everything, you know. So I'm like, you better do your kata then. So
yeah, we just get people that complain about like, hey, I really want my black belt, my black belt. Well, like there was a guy I had years ago. He kept on complaining that he didn't get. He keeps getting passed up for his black belt. He never gets talked about. And I told him like, well, just at the time, I think we're still really big in USGF. And I told him, like, I printed out the paperwork and said, here, this is what you got to do. If you have all these things done, all these things marked off, then I can talk to Sensei Fleet for you that they've done everything. Maybe we should promote this person. And they never wanted to do it. They just expected one day for us to be like, hey, so-and-so, you want to know what? You're a black belt now. You know, you've done blah, blah, blah. Or we respect you so much. Here's your black belt.
To be fair, it's kind of nebulous, like the standards. In most places, there's no strict syllabus. It's kind of like just train until we tell you you're ready kind of thing. So you can't totally put the blame on them. But we could talk about some of the people we know that are technically terminal brown belts, or we think will be terminal brown belts. And this is putting aside the fact that we talked about in one of the old episodes how Australia has this like weird fucked up system where if you started judo late, then you're pretty much not going to get your black belt. Which I think they fixed, but basically if you started judo in your 40s, you got to fight 20-year-olds for points to get your black belt. So we're going to, except for that stuff like that, but this is mostly people that refuse to learn the names of techniques, you know, like you can't have a black belt not knowing what a sotogari is or coach, like you can't, they just can't. And we have someone in our dojo like that, right? So it's been like what 10 years they've been training almost, and they don't know the names of any techniques.
Yeah, it's the in one ear out the other ear people, you know.
Yeah. We also in the past episodes we talked about how you have to like I think it was the episode about when to change dojos, when you should change dojos, like whether the dojo is right place for you. Like if you join a dojo that only promotes based off of competitiveness, like competitive results, and you're not a competitor, then you're pretty much never going to get your black belt, right?
Yeah.
So you better find a place that's more accommodating, that's okay for some people that compete just a little bit at a time, or people that don't compete at all. And there are dojos out there that'll promote just based off kata or just based off of like showing up. Like I know some people that started judo later in life, and they've been training judo for 20 or 30 years, and they finally got their black belt for just like showing up, training, helping out in class. And because you've been here for so long, here's your black belt.
But then you go right there, like I said,
yeah,
they show up, they come to class, they help out. That's the thing.
Yeah, but you can't depend on them to actually teach anything, basically.
Yeah.
But
hey, at least they show up and come.
But there are dojos that do that. There are dojos that do that, right? Yeah. So you just have to find the right place. And this is why you as a beginner, you need to figure out what kind of place you're at, right? Because if you want a black belt, but then the standards of the dojo or the sensei does not meet your goals, then you better be okay with never getting a black belt. So, I think that's what I want to ask. So that's one person we talked about, right? What are some other signs of people that might not get their black belt, you think?
Well, it's the part-timers also. You can't be a part-timer that comes once a week or once every 2 weeks or even once a month and expect to get your black belt. You know, you get some people that work really hard to get to their brown belt, get there, and then it's like, okay, I know everything, right? I know everything. I'm trying to not talk about the person directly, but there's just, you know how people are sometimes. They'll get there. It's like how people sometimes they're showdowns. I've got a black belt. That's all I need to do in life. What people like that, they get their brown belts. They get their brown belt. They're like, okay, well, I only come once a week now. Oh, I only have to come to Rondori sessions. I don't have to actually go to class anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
That is a very common thing where people just stop showing up to class,
Yeah.
and just only show up the last 30 minutes for randori. Then I don't at
And
that point.
That's
At
also
that
like two
point,
types of part-timers. You got the like very active competitive part-timers, and you got the part-timers that just take this as just a hobby, which is perfectly fine. But like I said, it's going to take you a lot longer with time and grade.
yeah, and at that point, it's no longer a skill thing. It's an attitude, personality thing, like a respect thing. Like that's why I think, again, some dojos value what the black belt means in that way, but then other dojos are just like purely skill based. Just like the guy, what was the guy that we just talked about in the UFC fight? He'd strike someone out with no grappling, and he's like, "Here's your BJJ black belt."
Yeah, Para. Yeah, well, that was the funny thing of Para when he put it out when he won the 85 champion over Izzy. I remember him putting a video out the next day or on Monday or something. His BJJ coach giving him his brown belt for knocking out Izzy. And I remember sending that video and I was like, this is crazy. The only time I ever seen that before is when Vanderlei Silva knocked out this, I can't remember his name, but he was a Japanese player, really good judo player also. He knocked him out in Pride and he got his BJJ black belt from that knockout.
It's just so weird.
Yeah. So like this weekend,
you could argue he's there already. Like he's already there and it was just a ceremony. But like, if that's the case, man, Philippe, if you're listening to this for my Sandan, I want you to wrap a belt around me after I get first on Mario Kart. Okay.
Well, it's also Randy Couture got his black belt in BJJ. I can't remember which fight it was, but I think he actually did submit the guy. Like he did actually do like
but that's okay because he actually did something.
Yeah, no, right? But I'm saying like that's an actual thing where he actually did some grappling to win the fight, and he got his BJJ black belt like after that fight and stuff.
No, I want my Sandan award to me after I get first in Mario Kart.
What my next kickboxing match? No, when I go in my next my next kickboxing match, I'm gonna get my fourth done after that.
So freaking weird. But yeah, so there's that type of people, and there's just people that just don't care.
Yeah.
They're just happy training, and that's fine, But it goes back to what I talked about. If you want, it's like up to them, right?
Well, it's the whole people that feel sometimes where we have another member, one of my favorite guys, great guy and stuff, but he feels like he's been passed over so many times. He's like, I don't care no more. It's just a hobby. And I was like, all right, that's fine if you feel that way, but then don't come to me later being mad that, oh, I see so-and-so got a black belt. Don't come to me. You said it was a hobby now. All right.
And you gave up. Sometimes you also hear people say like, well, but I have kids, I have a job. And I'm like, okay, but how is that my problem? Like to put it nicely, it's like, yeah, but you still got to train. Like why everyone else put in the work?
Yeah. Like, what makes it that you don't have to?
Yeah. Like I don't have kids. That's one of the main reasons I don't have kids is because I'm not willing to sacrifice my training time for kids. And one of the reasons it works out with my wife is because she's okay with me training and teaching all the time. Mm-hmm. So my parents don't understand this, but yeah. So I gave up a lot of other stuff to get promoted faster and get recognized and to get better, in my opinion. But like, why would you decided to give? So you got to decide to sacrifice the black belt path for your family, which is fine. It's not a problem. It's not like we're going to be like, how dare you not show up? It's just, you can't expect to have both, but you will see people like make excuses like that, so.
There was a guy, remember the video, not the video, you sent me something, I don't know if it was on Reddit or what, about a person being mad that they're not being promoted to brown belt. And they literally said in their thing, oh, well, I don't train all the time in judo, but I think I should be a brown belt. Well, if you're not there all the time, how will you promote you,
I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but he basically says he travels all the time for work, which is understandable. But it seems like he was just expecting to walk in, throw a couple of black belts, and then the sensei would be like, oh my God, you're so good. Here's a brown belt. Like that's kind of what it seemed like. I'm not going to say that's what he says, but how do you expect to like, you don't have to stay at a home dojo. I'm not going to promote someone from a different dojo, right?
Yeah.
That's number one. So if you don't state your intentions to transfer dojo, or you're saying, hey, I'm here visiting. No one's going to promote you. So you got to go back to your home dojo to get promoted. But then if you're not showing up to your home dojo because you're traveling, they're not going to promote you. So that sounds like a you problem.
Again, a you problem.
Yeah.
You and your job, you and your kids. Get out of here.
Yeah. Or you can work something out with your home dojo sensei. Like maybe he doesn't know you're training and traveling at the same time. And maybe you can be like, hey, I won this tournament. What else do I need to do to get the brown belt? But he was so insistent on skill being the only thing that matters. And because he won like a big tournament, you got to remember, like he won the big tournament in the novice category. So everyone there could have been just like started judo last month.
Technically, yes.
Yeah. So that doesn't really mean anything, you know? So you could have just been the best out of all the people that were there, that were anywhere from starting last month to people that started that are close to their brown belt. And you could be one of the people that are close to their brown belt. Who knows? But it doesn't really mean anything. And also the fact that he's acting like that, that he's thinking like that, kind of shows probably why he wasn't promoted. But then he should go join a gym that, what do you call it? Join the club that promotes people based off of competition results. So
those are all reasons, and like the whole, what do you say? I can't remember the word right now, but these are pretty much all the reasons why people become terminal brown belts or lifelong brown belts. Now, what are things that you can do to get out of this rut? You know,
assuming you want to.
Yeah, assuming you want to get your black belt one day, or you're okay, if you're being okay being a brown belt the rest of your life, there ain't nothing wrong with that. Okay. Nothing wrong with that. Now, if you're not from the dark side, something bad happened over there, what can you do to get your brown belt? One, do the safe sport. Okay.
No, I think number one. I think number one is to change dojos. Honestly.
Yeah. Well, Anthony thinks change, but there's a lot of stuff. Talk to your instructor.
I'm not saying I agree with it, but if you talk about which one's the easiest way, it's to find someone that's going to promote you and then just go there. Right.
Wow, Anthony. Wow. I can't believe you said that.
Well, so we know people a few people that couldn't get it in our dojo, or they feel like they should have gotten it and didn't get it. So they went somewhere else and got it. Yeah. And then promptly got smashed at tournaments. But so that is it. Objectively, that is the easiest way to get a black belt, right? That's recognized.
Unless it's a really bad dojo, please don't do that. Don't just go dojo hopping to try to find the easiest black or brown belt you can get.
Even if I don't say this, people are going to do it. Yeah. Like just like we have a different dojo that uses different color belt system than we do. This is why I think we should go with Q instead of color ranks, right? Color belts, because one guy left, got a different color belt, and came back to visit as that color belt rank, but he's nowhere near that rank for our dojo. But we allowed him to train. He got a green belt, and we require a green belt for the hard randori days. And he came back as a green belt, and he got smashed, and he never came back because he was clearly not there, because that was the first rank after white for a different dojo. Mm-hmm. So someone else saw that and was like, hey, like that means I can go somewhere else, get this color rank, come back here and start from green. I'm like, yeah, technically, but you're gonna get smashed by people. Like they're gonna treat you as a green belt here, and two, they're gonna we're going to see that you're not performing at that level, and you're going to stay at that rank for a long time. So why would you do it?
Well, it's the whole thing where when people, like you talk about go somewhere else, when you get that belt rank, where this brown, black, green, whatever, you have to defend that belt rank. People are going to see that and expect that.
You don't have to.
No, when you go do rondor, you have to defend that belt.
Well, I'll tell you, like most people we know that left some sort of club, not just ours, and then went somewhere else to get their black belt, and they just stopped doing judo afterwards.
That is another damn thing that does happen sometimes.
Because it already shows that what they see the belt as, like what they treat that rank as. It's nothing more as a bragging right, as a status symbol kind of thing. They have no intention of proving that they're worth it, you know? So once you get that thing, what are you going to do? They're going to quit because you already got what you wanted. So
I took first place. I retire right now. I'm done. Yeah. I'm done. I retire.
Well, then they can post on their Instagram profile, I am black belt in judo and all this stuff, and then they can also like brag to women about it, kind of thing. So
brag to women. What's up, mama? How you doing? I'm a black belt in judo.
I said that specifically because the two people I'm thinking of did that, right? So
I know one of them did. I don't know about the other one.
The other one did too. Yeah.
Yeah.
He still messages me sometimes and talks to me about it. But yeah, specifically one guy, I will call it out because I think I really didn't like what he did. He got his black belt through someone else. So he got his brown belt through us after a while. Yeah. And then within a week, he was like, when am I going to get my black belt? I'm like, you just literally got your brown belt last week. Mm-hmm. So what was it, like a few months later, he swapped to a different dojo. So like under a different,
3 months later. Yeah.
It was 3 months later. He went to a different dojo instructor that gave him his black belt, because that guy, I'll just say that guy is, okay, I'm not going to use the word because it's going to make it too obvious what I'm talking about. Let's just say that guy's not in the right state of mind. All right. Yeah. So he gave him the black belt, and then he went to the tournament and he lost to a white belt that was a BJJ black belt. Mm-hmm. And then that BJJ black belt took that picture of the tournament results and posted on, I got recommended this on Facebook. He was like, look, I joined my first judo tournament and I beat a judo black belt with 3 months of judo training. And you just see in the comment section, everyone's talking judo and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just, I didn't comment, but I was just like, okay, that's because he's not really a black belt.
Yeah, it's like, so, look what you did. Look what you did to us. Look at what you did to us. But that guy also didn't talk about how he got beat. He got beat in Newaza by a black belt, by a real judo black belt. Yeah. So yeah,
he got second place. Yeah.
Yeah, and the guy that got the fake judo black belt lost to a real black belt and lost to a white belt in judo, but black belt in BJJ. So whatever. Yeah. I don't want to just keep going to negative stuff. I want to do it a positive. So what are things you get?
Usually it's the other way around.
I know. I want usually you want to talk about positive. I don't want to be like we're all negative Nancy's on this the entire time, because we could talk about all these things about people that are lifelong brown belts and they stay that way, and just like how people get around the system and how people work.
I want to, because I'm not like being negative, but I'm okay, so technically I'm being negative, but I want to talk about why these type of people are usually stuck there. It's usually for a good reason. And the only one that's like not a negative reason is just because they don't care or they have family, or it's one of those two. Those are only the two. Like they value their family and other stuff more than judo, so they're happy with just staying brown belt. And the other one is they just don't care, right? So those two are the positive, okay, terminal brown belts. They're happy, right? And then all these other ones are like the negative reasons, like why.
One of the worst things that
something that they could do about, but they don't.
And I always see that happens, like not just some people that'll go to another dojo, like they'll go to another dojo that's easier or somewhere that they used to go train at, is that people just quit judo. It's like, okay, I got my brown belt, I can't pass my black belt test, I can't do kata.
We've seen that too. Yeah,
people that can't do it, that it's like, I'm going to quit judo, I'm going to go to BJJ, I'm going to go to wrestling instead, I'm going to go to catch wrestling or sambo.
That's why you see so many BJJ YouTubers are like, BJJ black belt fights judo brown belt. Like, okay, well, like you couldn't find a judo black belt to fight or something. Like, it had to be a brown belt that just couldn't make it somewhere else, so they like came to your
switch styles.
Yeah.
And I see that a lot happen. It's like, and that's a little sad thing too, because like we're losing a judo guy that's terrible and stuff. But why couldn't you complete your stuff? Why couldn't you do the points? Why couldn't you do time and grade? Why couldn't you do the kata, So that's a big thing. Like you see that sometimes. I know a guy that when I first started doing judo, and this is back when I very, very, very first started doing judo here in LA, Hollywood Judo wasn't big on promoting people. Sensei Emi was like rarely promoted people. It was like very rare for him to do it.
That's probably why the dojo had such small.
Yeah. Why the dojo was so small when I first started. He left our dojo. He was a great grappler, really good judo player, left our dojo, went somewhere else. I don't know if it was a BJJ club or just some other grappling school, came back with a black belt. And he asked Sensei Gary, he's like, Sensei Gary, I got my black belt in this. Can I wear my black belt in the dojo? It's like, one, if you're not doing judo and it's not a judo black belt, why are you asking where your black belt here at the dojo? That's just weird to me. And then two, Sensei Gary was like, well, is that a judo black belt? And he said, oh, well, I don't remember what he said, but he was like, oh, well, it's a grappling black belt.
I'm a black belt in Mario Kart.
Could be, could be a black belt in Tekken. I don't know. Okay. He could have been a black belt in KOF. He plays Daimon a lot, he got really good at it. And to the Gary, I know, Sensei Gary said, well, let me see your certificate. Just bring your certificate next time. And if it's a judo one, I'll let you wear it. And guess what? Never saw him again.
Yeah, he was not okay with wearing a white belt and train. It had to wear a black belt and train. It's weird. But you see, to me, losing people like that doesn't there's no loss to me,
Mm-hmm.
Like, but then I think losing people because of like politics or unclear technical requirements, like things that like we could actually do something about, then I think that's a shame, but losing people that have an ego or like can't pass a background check or all that kind of stuff, I think is no loss. So
can't do heads up, can't understand safe sport. It's too complicated for them.
Yeah, we also had someone else visit us that was clearly a terminal brown belt from another dojo. And then he asked Sensei Philippe to promote him to black belt. Like, I don't even know how you can ask someone like that. Like, hey, this guy won't promote me, will you? And Philippe's like, okay, let's see what you can do. Like, he was showing up to class always late, skipping all the exercises. And then when Randori starts, he always picks the most tired looking person from the drills that day. Yeah. And then sits out a few rounds. And he was just the epitome of, let me go somewhere else, show how I can beat other people up, and then just like expect my black belt kind of thing. Yeah. I
remember that guy. He came in, he was always late. Yeah. It was because he saw you get promoted, and he was like, oh, well.
Yeah, that was around when I got black belt, right?
Yeah. It was around when you got your black. He was like, oh, well, if he can get promoted, and he probably thought less of you. Like, oh, I can get mine most likely.
Yeah, I kind of regret being nice to him.
Yeah.
Because he was a little older, and I wanted to smash him, so I let him throw me a few times. And
well, I think that's one of the most things. Most people would want to be nice to him for the most part, and he'd only fight smaller people and people that were tired, like we said.
So I mean, if I knew he was like gonna do that, like to prove something, I would have just smashed him. I wouldn't, but it is what it is. Yeah. But I think that, again, the thing that stopped him from like just after Philippe said he has to do the Nage no Kata, he just like stopped showing up.
Yeah. What? Kata? Oh, it's like one of these people. I can't do Kata. Kata's stupid.
I'd rather go find. I wonder if he went back to his dojo and continued to be a terminal brown belt, or whether he found somewhere else to train that would give him his black belt, or whether he just quit. Like, I'm really, really curious. I might actually do a little bit of digging. I'm really curious. Just I think he quit. Honestly, that's what I think. But yeah, that's I think most of the time people like I'm talking about a lot of the bad stuff, right? But majority of people I encounter that are terminal or brown belts have are what do you call it? Are the nice people, not the negative types that we talked about. It's just for whatever reason we tend to encounter a lot of negative types more than usual, I think. So, but most people I know are positive, and I don't think that I'm sure most other people don't have the same experience we have in encountering these type of people. We just get a lot of weird people walking by our doors for some reason.
We're Hollywood, baby. We get all crazies. All right. Yeah. So is there anything else you want to talk about this, or is that it?
I think the only thing I'd left to talk about is it's just a really short part, right? Like our opinions on whether you think it's a problem, like if people decide to do that. I think I pretty much established I don't think it's a problem. But what about you? Like, do you think it's okay, or would you try to talk people out of it? Like, hey, can you get a babysitter or something and come once a week more? Like, would you actually try to do that, or would you like do private lessons with some? Because we there are some people we talked about where we think they might be terminal brown belts due to reasons. Let's not get into it. But like, would you like one-on-one? But they're nice people. Like, would you one-on-one work with them to see if you can get them out of that rut or fix those problems, or would you just like say it's okay, he's going to be a terminal brown belt, let's just leave it? Like.
Well, there's already so for me, when it comes to like some terminal brown belts that I know, I always try to encourage people to come more often, work harder, learn stuff. And I've sometimes gotten into arguments with like one of my one of my good friends that's a terminal brown belt. I got in an argument with him one time about like, I pretty much told him like, it's your fault, you know, it's your fault. You don't want to learn this stuff, man. I like you a lot. Don't get mad that you get like looked over and stuff. I would love for you to get your belt. Okay.
Compete more. About judo, right?
No, it's judo. Yeah. I told him like, I want you to compete more, learn the stuff. Okay. It can't be in one ear out the other ear. Like sometimes you got to be blatant with people. But I think I always encourage people. I never try to discourage people.
Are you talking about the guy that got upset that I got the black belt before he did?
No, it's
not that guy.
No, okay. This is someone that I like. I said, there's even a guy right now that I know I'm trying to promote him and stuff. And I know he's going to be a terminal brown belt because
I know who you're talking about and I disagree. So.
And I don't see them getting past that.
That's why I asked you that question because we're thinking the same guy. And I think there's two parts of this,
almost right? Every belt ring this person's gotten, I've almost had to negotiate for him every time to get a belt ring.
There's two parts of this. One, I think this is why I don't like the belt system, right? Ideally, I would get rid of it, but if we can't get rid of it, I think Japan has it down. That way, everyone gets a Shodan, and Shodan means jack shit. It just means beginner rank, right? Which is literally what it stands for. And then people won't belt chase. Then you won't have the people that just want to get a black belt or get it and then quit, which is what happens in Taekwondo's a lot. A lot of kids get their black belt and then quit.
Yeah.
And then that saves us a bunch of time, right? And then you'll have people that will get it and not complain and just keep training because no one gives a shit that you have a black belt. It's the Nidan, it's the Sandan that matters, not the color or the belt rank.
There's always going to be
that's one part of it.
There's always going to be people that at certain ranks are most likely they can't get promoted past that. There's going to be the terminal brown belts. There's going to be the terminal Shodans.
I'm just saying there will be people. Think about people who would have stayed in the sport if they got a Shodan, right? But because they can't get a Shodan, they feel like it's a waste of time, so they just quit. That's a little bit of people I'm trying to keep, is what I'm saying. If
but we again, had that's a little bit of people that have to defend that black belt when visitors come or they go visit somebody else.
Yeah, but defend that black belt. Saying if you change the culture to match Korea and Japan, what the black belt means, like all over the world, like universally in judo, to have the same meaning of the first degree black belt, then that wouldn't be a problem anymore. But that's obviously a utopian view, right? That's part of it. I'm just complaining, right? I'm just complaining about the black belt thing. The other part is I think unless they're like literally mentally handicapped in some way, it's our role as instructors to help these people. I think if you can't get them to that level, then I think it's probably I don't want to make it sound like it's our fault, but I think we could help them. Basically, it might, to make it sound bad, it is our fault. If I teach someone and they don't get good to a certain level, then it is our fault. I'm not expecting them to be Olympic champion or like national champion, but they should be able to at least reach the black belt level, is what I think. Mm-hmm. But with that said, how we teach to the majority of classes might not work for this one guy, which is why I asked you about the one-on-one thing. Like, would you work with them one-on-one? Because maybe they need a different type of instruction to like understand this stuff. I know, just like when I was in college, I could not learn how to program because of the way they taught was completely useless to me. But once I left college and I got a job, I just like instantly got it. And now I'm a senior software engineer, like just because of how it was taught. Right. But I can't go to the professor in my college class and be like, hey, the way you're teaching is useless. I need you to teach it this way, fuck everyone else. And like, so
if it's one-on-one for kata, yes, I would help you out. But if it's one-on-one, just learning the basics all over again and having to keep stuff in your head that you can teach and know how to demonstrate, and because people are always gonna be that whole thing of like, we have a problem in our class sometimes where just because someone has a black belt doesn't mean they're a sensei.
So would you send them back to beginner's class for a bit? Because right now they're not allowed to go to beginner's class.
That's when I bring out my back to basics class every Saturday.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like you can't just be like, well, this is how it is. Sorry. I feel like it's not that as instructors, we have a responsibility for that, I guess. even though we don't get paid enough for it. But yeah.
This is one of those things where
this is where privates would be useful, right?
Well, if they pay for privates, and I guess it'd be because you're at least paying me for my time, because I'm already giving you my time for what you're paying for your class fee.
Yeah.
And now you want me to put in extra time now for free and have to fix you where you should have learned this in class. Yeah. Then I guess, doing privates would make more sense, because like, at least you're paying me for my time to try to fix you and help you out. Try to fix you. That's what
did I mention I gave privates before in the old podcast episodes?
Did we?
Yeah, I did it twice.
And you went to your house?
Yeah, there's one was in my house, and then both were at my house. Both were at my house. Like I did it once for the cop, and then did it once again for someone messaged me, and but I charge more than Philippe. Did you know that? Not because I'm better than Philippe.
Just because you hate doing it. I know how you are.
No, it's because that's how much my time is worth to me. You know?
Oh, okay.
Because I'm busy. I'm busy, and I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna take my time to do this, then this is how much I'm gonna charge. Like, the thing is, I mention it like, if I know you and I know you're gonna take my advice, then I'll do it for free. You know, like I do it for friends and stuff sometimes. But why I charge that much is because I know for a fact that what you need to hear is not going to be what you want to hear. So I tell you what you need to hear, and then you're not going to listen to me. You're going to think you wasted time. Then 2 or 3 years down the road, you're going to realize what I said was right. So
this cocky
that's what I'm charging you for, basically. So and it's not just for judo. Like I do consulting on the side too for like software stuff. So it's the same thing. Like I tell people what they need to hear. They don't like it, what they heard, because everyone's looking for that silver bullet. Like, how do I fix this problem now? But if I'm like, you need to do this, and it will fix your long-term problem, because you have a long-term problem. Like just like in judo, right? They want to know, how am I going to get my black belt now? How am I going to get better like next week? How am I going to win that next tournament next week? Where I'm just like, you fundamentally are training wrong. You're fundamentally thinking things in a wrong way, kind of thing. And I'm like, this is how you need to reframe it. They don't want to hear that, right? But then whether it's through life experience, competition experience, or training, they get older and they start understanding stuff more. Then they come back like a few years later. This happens all the time. They message me like a few years later, and they're like, oh, I just understood what you told me like 4 years ago. So I'm basically charging them for I guess wasting my time is what I would say. So
yes.
Yeah. I know it sounds cocky, but that's why I charge that much, because I usually finish the session once. Like we only do it once, because they never come back and until like 4 years later. But then at that point, the problem's solved. They don't need me anymore. So why would they pay me for another private? You know, why would you pay me to show you techniques when I'm not that good at them?
If you want a brown belt, you can pay Anthony for privates, and he'll just yell at you, tell you what you're doing is stupid, and you're all wrong.
I could do that. Like, yeah, DM me if you like. I think I mentioned it was $250, but I just got a pay raise at work. So,
so that's prices.
So I got a huge pay raise at work, so it's gonna go up. My time is worth more now. But that was literally my my bill rate for work, because they do it by hours. So yeah, that kind of went on a tangent, but that's it. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
All right. So yeah. So terminal brown belts, if you really want it, you'll be working for it anyways. I think mostly terminal brown belts, some of them kind of just came to terms with it. They're like, I'm not getting my black belt. I don't want to do what these have to do to get my brown belt. If I'm not going to go chasing to the dojos to get it, then I'm just here. So that's kind of like the sad thing about it.
So the short answer to my question for your answer is basically, fuck them. They're going to be brown belts.
Kind of.
Yeah.
If you're not going to put the time already, then why do you put extra time in there? At least you want to pay Anthony for privates.
Well, some of these people do show up to every class, right? But then people write them off as they have no talent. They're just not made for a black belt. Like, they just write them. You hear this all the time, even in the Philippe's coaching clinic. You hear some of these people are like, some people just aren't. I think like it's a skill that everyone can attain. It's just everyone's path towards it is different. So
yeah. Well, I know this. I will never kick someone out of my class, even if I think that you're not going to get it. You're not getting it. If you're there, I'm going to give you my time in class. Like I've never kicked anybody else because like, oh, he's gonna be a brown belt his entire life, or he's gonna be a blue belt his entire life. They're not gonna promote her. Like,
yeah, but just being able to show the technique is not enough. Like they have to be able to demonstrate and
to do it. Yeah.
But
yeah, we always talk about
that's you have to perform in a live resistance setting at a black belt level. That's mainly what I'm talking about. Like anyone can learn how to do the techniques with time, give it enough time. It's the question is how do you get them to perform at a black belt level against live resistance? That's I think that's mainly the problem I'm talking about. And I think that's another thing that we missed in this recording was basically I don't know how maybe this is going to be at the end, so people probably won't listen to this part. I might have to edit this back into the front. But yeah, I think that's another thing is there are terminal brown belts that are terminal brown belts just because the way that they're taught is not the way the dojo is meant for them. Well,
we all know there's different ways of learning. You know, people learn physical, people learn reading, people learn visually. We all know that. And
I disagree with that, but like, yeah, continue.
I do agree with that, but we have different things about that. But it also like this, we didn't talk about this, but it's kind of like, well, okay, like where my sister lives. My sister lives in kind of a smaller town in Texas. All right. I wanted my niece and nephew to get into judo. I can only find one place there that teaches judo, and it's for 13 and above. So if that guy that teaches judo there isn't a good instructor, what are they going to do? The next judo place I saw that was close to him was like almost an hour and a half away. And my sister told me she ain't driving an hour and a half to teach them judo somewhere else. You know, so sometimes you might be screwed. You might be stuck. And you told me like you're from Texas. How many dojos was it in Austin when you were living there?
There was only one. Well, there was one legit one and one that was inside a BJ club that was like judo for BJJ.
And that's awesome. That's a major city right there. And we have 2 judo clubs. So I guess if A doesn't work for you, I better hope B works for you or else you're screwed.
Yeah, that's why this is like a side project. I didn't tell anyone about it really, except I made a post on Reddit the other day. There's a side project I'm working on where I'm basically like what I'm doing in a beginner's class right now. Obviously, I don't know how to train a high level judoka, right? But I'm trying to write something where anyone at home could have never done judo before, and they should be able to teach themselves or their friends judo to a competent level. Like they should be ready to go to your class, basically. Like I want to. This is a long term thing. It's not going to be done overnight. Like I'm trying to write things down in a systematic way so that anyone can come in, read that, understand it. That's the most important part because there's a lot of these coaching books and even the ecological approach. Like half the people on the internet don't understand it. They think they understand it, they read it, but they don't because they're still arguing about semantics because they're using different words. So I want the important thing is the system that's replicable and understandable by your average person. They can just follow it in a safe manner and they can get to a competent level where they can start training judo at an intermediate level. So that way they can either start their own dojo under someone else who can give them more advanced instruction, or they can like move to like Hollywood or move to Shintaro's dojo and start training right away, even though they were living in butt fuck nowhere with no judo club. So
language, young man, language. Because not everyone's as lucky as us. Like here being in Southern California, there's tons of judo in Southern California. All right. Living in the Bay Area, like it's blown up in the South Bay. You know, growing up in the South Bay, there's like a handful of clubs I knew about, but now there's like tons of clubs out there. And not everybody's lucky. Like I said, where my sister lives, one school, one guy. And if he's not a good instructor, then you're pretty much screwed. You know,
terminal brown belt.
terminal white belt, you know, even if you love judo, like you love watching judo, you're like, I really want to try that out. There's one school there. There's like 50 BJJ schools in that place. Small town. There's not like 50, but they're like 20 or something, 25. There's a lot, but one judo school. So,
yeah. All right. That's it.
I hope it wasn't too depressing for everyone. All you terminal brown belts out there.
Yeah, I thought I was going to be a terminal brown belt, honestly, just because I'm not a huge competitor. I'm not like the best at randori. Like it's now I'm a little better, I think. I did think, going back to your original question, after I got word of my Nidan and we did throwing lines the other day, I'm like, damn, something feels different. Like,
I feel the glow. Yeah, I'm going Super Saiyan now.
you saw the throwing line, right? Like,
yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So I was like, something feels different. Like, but funny how it works. But yeah, I thought I was gonna be a terminal brown belt, but hopefully it was helpful for people. I thought I was being terminal brown belt, so I thought I was gonna be a terminal green belt or the orange belt, and then I moved places, and then not everyone can do that. But and then when I got my brown belt, I thought I was gonna be a terminal brown belt, but I guess I went the knowledge route, definitely. Like hard knowledge route was basically what I went. But not everyone can do that because you have to be really interested in that in the first place. Otherwise, it's not going to be successful. So
very true.
Yeah.
All right. So with that, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. You can follow us on YouTube at Tatami Talk. You can follow us on Instagram at Tatami Talk. You can follow us on Threads at Tatami Talk. If you have any questions, things you want to ask us, things you want to talk about, we always go back to those things to make episodes. You can go to tatamitalk@gmail.com for that. You want to follow me on Instagram, you go the GRA_Juan. You can follow Anthony on Instagram at Anthony Throws. Is that it? Am I forgetting anything?
No, that's it.
All right. So with that, don't forget to
slap the mat. Nothing special today, sorry.